few people who continued to still be involved.
Yeah.
These people are in the draft minutes on the back, and we are the incoming group officers. The planning contact team is about planning issues in the neighbourhood, and the city contacts us as well as the people immediately affected by a planning issue when they
cut yourself
planning applications or zoning change or a neighbourhood plan amendment. We are looking to have a neighbourhood plan. And this is the guiding document for what it's worth for the planning contact team. So with that, I will ask you all to look at the minutes of the last meeting and if you don't agree, you can speak up, and if you meantime will ask for a motion to
So moved.
Thank you, Donna. Second. Second. Are there any people who've got any comments about it?
Oh, what's to happen with Chad Cosper, was it? His nomination?
Yeah, that's coming up.
Thank you.
Okay, so the motion then is to adopt. I'll ask everybody who's clear that to raise their hands in favour. And those against. The next item on the agenda is the membership report. And we have a lot of new members. New people. Katie Stokes, John, Laura Jones. Okay, thank you. Aaron King.
Yep.
So, Wilbrad. No, I should be on the other list. So you should. Julia Brookings. She has a list. Yes. Gordon Davis. Vicky.
Yep.
What's your last name?
Gerson.
Yes.
Yep.
Michael Dennis.
Michael.
Everybody left.
Diana Slater left, but she's actually an alternate. Right, she says everything's straight. She came to she didn't really hear of it. Started, yeah.
Robin Russell. You tell me. Oh, Russell.
Yeah, she probably never.
Welcome to everybody. Is there anybody mentioning that?
I guess my name is, I don't know what I was when I came in.
Okay.
What is I don't know that.
So you can so when we come to the vote, ladies and gentlemen, if you're signing as a new member, you cannot vote. You have to wait for the next meeting before you can vote. So this is like a signing. Welcome, Dave. Okay. The next item then, have a little bit new business, and I can bring in the chat because we're going to formally elect the officers for the form. Last meeting, Chad Cosper, who apparently volunteered to be a board member, but as far as I understand, he mentioned it's during the DNA meeting, not during this meeting. So he didn't get on the election roster. So I want to put that right, but as Jack suggested that we should leave it, but Jack confirmed he wants to be a board member. So it's a bit out of order in the admin process, but
If you take my interpretation, the bylaws simply state that nominations and elections must take place on certain dates. Doesn't mean they can't take place on additional dates.
But we're trying to accommodate an anomaly. Chad Cosper is volunteered to be a board member, but apparently he did this, and it was a different meeting. So when we came to the actual meeting, he didn't. No, this was in October actually. He didn't clarify that he wanted to be a board member. So it's an anomaly. But if the group can accept this anomaly, then we'll...
Are you inviting a movement from the attendees? A motion from the floor?
No, we're going to discuss this in the April meeting when he can come here and look at it. He's not here.
I understand.
Yes.
I have a question. I'm a bit confused. Because what so you're saying in October, he volunteered in the Dawson neighborhood meeting to be on the board, and everybody who was there heard him say that? Well, or how do we know this? We don't. So, why are we talking about voting on something that's hearsay that we don't even know actually happened? Who heard him say that?
Actually, I did.
Okay, two people heard him say it.
So we're going to discuss this.
Okay, that's right.
Are you okay?
All right, thank you.
We're running partway through the agenda.
I'm sure I have plenty of time to become important. Didn't know that.
Okay, the election of the officers for the DNPC board. The board members already discussed this, and it's an election by the board and their leaders. And the officers are all there. We have Dawson, Martin, Julie, myself, Myron, so there's one board member, and so 2 hours.
What are the positions that you're voting to fill? Thank you.
The positions are chair, and I have been nominated, vice chair, Mark, and Julie has been nominated secretary. And the board members say the raise of hands, if the board members accept these nominations.
The board members are voting. Oh. This is okay, but it's kind of confusing, but we're voting through our chair, vice chair, secretary.
Appointing out.
Are the board members all those who are members?
You're not, your members are not board members. Board members were elected in December.
They're the ones who go to more meetings.
Are there any disputed positions? Any competition?
No. So, it's all involved.
If I was a board member, I'd move to just
So,
accept
there are
positions
board
as
and Dawson on board. Yeah. So we're all members of the DNPC after that second meeting. Okay.
Okay, so now we come to the main event, and it's the front yard parking ordinance. So I'm going to ask people, could anybody raise their hands if they want to speak?
I can't hear you, Peter.
Yeah, it's hard to hear.
I'm sorry. I wanted people who want to speak before we vote to raise their hands. And maybe more of you want to speak as we go.
So far, there's two. We follow some kind of time frame.
Peter, I have a question. Did you say earlier that the new members that signed in tonight, that they are not eligible to vote? Are they eligible to speak? They are, but they can't vote on the motion, right?
Well, he's achieved voting status at some point during the last 3 years, so he's automatically reactivated by having attended another DMPCT meeting.
I'm not referring to myself, I'm referring to new members only.
Right.
Been here like 2 years ago.
Or last month.
Yes.
We already December.
After 3 years, you're removed from the membership. But after a year, you put in suspended mode, which just means you need to attend one meeting per time. And so the front yard parking ordinance, I need to go over some items because there's been a lot of misinformation spread around the narrative. And the front yard parking ordinance intent is to help with the situation where somebody is experiencing or a property is being used to park a lot of vehicles on the front yard or the side yard, and they are not parked in the driveway, they're parked all over the front yard. So you've got to imagine the scenario of somebody living next to a dweller who parks 5 or 6 cars on their property. It's intended to protect the value of your property if you're a property owner. It does not mean that you be told to put concrete down on existing parking spots. If you already have a parking space that's unpaved, no concrete, no asphalt, you are not in violation of this order. It is not a ban on parking on unpaved surfaces. It only applies if you start expanding your parking or you want to formally expand the parking on your property. Like all rules, it is intended to resolve situations already causing ill will between neighbours. There will not be an APD SWAT team sweeping through the neighbourhood tomorrow. Like all developments, expanding new parking areas should go through the permitting process to comply with city code. Unless making changes to your property, nobody is going to be required to register or submit an approved parking plan. The official neighbourhood organisation receives a notice from the city every year to consider adopting this ordinance. It is not instigated by this DNA or DNPCT group. The DNPC duty is serving our community, and concluding this meeting with a vote, it is not a conspiracy. Historically, the vote has not been contested, but bringing this to a vote, as requested by the city, allows for change should it be necessary by the majority. motion on front yard and side yard parking ordinance at today's date, you'll be asked to circle one of these. I vote for the adoption of the ordinance to designate locations for front and side yard parking. I vote against the adoption of the ordinance and do not want to limit front and side yard parking. So, who wants to speak for the audience? Donna.
I would just, in previous years,
How
I,
much time will it be?
well, let's give it to one, but I'm allowing you to.
Donna, can you speak up?
yes, I can. In previous years, I have voted against this motion of this ordinance, but I will vote for it this time. I have gone through the neighborhood, and each home, each property has a cut on the curb for a driveway. It may not be paved, it may be dirt, etc. My objection before now was that I thought perhaps people would be made to make a driveway. And so many of these properties now are renters that would pose a difficulty for them. And so I am planning to vote for it because I think there are people who are parking all sorts of things in the yards that shouldn't be. And I've seen many trees killed because they park right under trees and the roots have gone back. That's all I have to say.
That's one.
I'm sorry?
That was 1 minute, 50 seconds.
I'm going to swap it to 4 and against 2 against.
I'm voting these guys, and I have a driveway, and we have a small side yard. In our yard, is the first over here. And my brother does have his structure to drive driveway, school, cars, vehicles, in our house. And walk on that truck course in our house for this time. It's about this evening, so that's why we're here. You can't park on the street because there's no time in the room. I get parked on the street already. Somewhere, I have my car sidewalk parked on the street. So we park on our side yard. It's not paved, it's just dirt. And it's our property. So we pay utility for it. You have to, there's no tree. It's not hurting any. But these trees are their yard, so they're not property. And so I don't understand the for or against what you're trying to vote for.
Okay, so right now, you can park wherever you like. You drive across the road.
I'm not doing all that. I'm parking my yard.
Right, so if you've got a driveway right now, and it's full with cars.
Peter, excuse me.
Well, hold on.
They're putting on
We have 3 cars.
Yeah.
I have 2 cars, and there's my father-in-law's truck. He's getting there.
But on your decision maker,
Sure.
but right now, you are not restricted on parking wherever you like.
That's correct.
If we pass this ordinance, the
probably not your side where you're parking your truck. It's probably still considered yard, and you might run into a problem of impervious cover. So they might not allow you to expand your driveway.
So you can imagine if there's cars everywhere, and they're parking in all directions, and there's no room for them.
Someone's sneaking in. Let's-
So it's my understanding of the proposed ordinance, there is a mechanism within the ordinance to apply to expand your driveway. It may require something under the ordinance to then pave it, perhaps all of it, or just the part that's new. And there's just, I mean, there's absolutely a lot of confusion. So if you can go to the city and ask to expand your driveway, they will tell you whether you can expand it into your side yard or other parts, or what way comply with city standards. And then you can go ahead, and then they'll tell you you have to, if you want to do that, you have to pay it. Whatever other requirements they have.
We get the grass down here, you know, it keeps getting my car wrecked, I'm parking on the street, we just have to go wreck. Now they pay just a lot, so I was out, you know, $3 grand, it was my car.
Well,
I just wanted to clarify that most of us here, if you're in an old home, you have some sort of existing driveway. Maybe it's gravel. Right. Those homes, your grandfather did. So it's not as if all of a sudden everybody's going to look at their driveway that they've been parking in for how many years. Still have
Proportionate.
under that. But if you expand it, I mean, you're looking at one curb cut, down with, one curb cut, where you can park one car, the other car behind it. Generally, when you're expanding it, you're pulling over and making it wider. So the city wants to do that and extend it, your ratio goes on.
okay, let's move on to somebody else.
Okay, just to clarify, in this corner, if you vote for this ordinance, then when it passes this ordinance, the decision unhappy with you parking that extra truck on the side yard, you're going to have to do something else. That's just that's clarifying. If it passes, if you vote for it, and then it passes another day, so, you know, if something, nobody complains, nothing passes, and then it decides they don't let that truck there. Yeah, you're going to have to do something.
Is there a case of,
Can we just hold it a moment? There's a process here that this lady just explained. If you want to expand your parking area, put down more, put down another parking space, then there's a process of working with the city to get it properly allowed and legitimate.
Yeah.
There's a process.
Yeah.
So it's not the end. It's all.
But for her current situation, am I right about what I said?
No, there's a process. There's a process.
It's a process.
Yes.
yes, it's more red tape through the city, essentially. is what it is.
You don't have it with the current status quo.
But right now, it's like, okay, her car, she's parking on the grass on the side of her yard. And if this ordinance gets passed, that spot doesn't get grandfathered in.
Nope.
No.
So she would have to do something different.
She would have to.
Okay, so that's true, that's what I'm saying. Okay, so that part's true. I just want to make sure that's clear.
I'm curious to know, is there a lot of complaints about this, people parking in yards?
No.
No?
No.
Well, then the hell with the city. Why would you possibly even bother?
Well, there was one issue last year of somebody who was brought to tears to the meeting because they were in a situation that they couldn't do. And we can all imagine having people starting to move in a lot of cars all over their property, and all of a sudden your property, your life is made a different kind.
Yeah.
So this situation's
Less
not
people, I suppose, one or the other, depends on which way.
Okay,
Just let me say one thing. People say that
I know this
I'd like to follow Chuck.
So we had a positive, now it's time for a negative.
Okay, excellent. Earlier, if I can start with a question. Earlier you said that we vote on it every year, generally as requested by the city. The problem is that the ordinance doesn't have that language in it. And I have a very warm printed letter from Maureen Meredith, who is, dang it, what's her title? And she says that there's absolutely no reason that we have to vote on it again. We have the opportunity to vote on it. We are not, it's not compulsory at all.
Okay, let me
So,
sit down and let me respond.
Excellent.
Sure. First of all, we've got a communication from the city saying there's an opportunity and we should consider this ordinance every year. And as the servants of this community, would we be right in saying no, not a problem?
But over the last...
No, we would be wrong to hide it away.
Oh, that's not where I'm going with the but. Over the last 7 years, and maybe more, that this has been brought to us to vote on every February, it has been presented as something that we're obliged to do on an annual basis until we give in and opt into the ban.
But I'll just explain
But
that it comes to us every year.
We merely have the opportunity.
Of bringing it to our neighbors.
No, the city is not directing the neighborhood association to bring this to a vote. It's that the neighborhood has the opportunity to direct their neighborhood association to apply in February if they have done so in advance. The neighborhood association or plan team is under no obligation to bring it.
That says, all those in favour of taking this for an application. Should I word it that way? Because the way we do things is we discuss them and then we vote to record the...
It would sound more honest, to be honest, to say we have the opportunity to join the ban. Would you like to vote for us to apply? Would you like to vote for us to fill out the application this February? I'm not splitting hairs. We've, for 7 or more years, we have always voted against it. And as I don't want to put words into Myron's mouth, from our officers, it's been dressed as though we're required to do this until we give in and opt into the ban. I have to continue disagreeing with you on that. We just heard Myron say that we're required to vote on it every year.
Okay, first of all, every year somebody's brought it up and it's put it part of the agenda.
Who asked to put it on the agenda this year?
And it's approached every year. We have
Who did ask to put it on the agenda this year?
Me?
Okay.
Why would I just hide it away and say we're not going to bother with this? I need to bring it to my community to say yes or no.
I think after 7 years, we're aware of it. Did you know that the city website says that absolutely no neighborhood opted into it at all last year, which is why the 2014 map still says, the 2015 map still says 2014. And we are not the last holdouts in the city. We have a couple of neighboring neighborhoods that have opted into the ban, but actually only about half of South Austin has. And it's come to a halt. There's no more interest in South Austin to opt into the ban, and I don't feel urged to opt in.
I think it's 2 minutes is up.
Thank you. I surrender the floor.
I'm in favor of the ordinance. I will say that the property that I'm concerned about happens to be right next door to me, and the people that own the property are here for the first time. So voting for the ordinance in any way does infer that anyone is responsible to make any type of complaint to APD. You're not required to make a complaint If you don't want to, you don't have to. There's no change in the city of Boston driveway permitting process. If you want to expand your driveway, the permitting process is still the same. This ordinance does not affect the city's process. There are probably quite a few people within the DNA that would benefit from the ordinance, approval of the ordinance, like myself. I have problems with the residents next door parking vehicles in the side yard and doing mechanical work on these vehicles during the day, making considerable amount of noise with power ratchets and grinding and banging metal, and then sometimes goes into the evening. On a number of occasions, the residents next door, one of the residents there has parked their truck next to my bedroom, as close as he can get to my bedroom window on their side yard. He has been out there and at 7 or 7:30 in the morning, starts up his loud truck, turns on his music. That's happened on quite a few times. And this noise is very uncomfortable for me. I work out of my house, so I have to hear this commotion that's going on the property next to me.
How close to the driveway does he do this? I mean, he's off the driveway, but how close to the paved driveway is he?
Disturb the peace like this. They can do what they want inside the house. They don't have to make everybody in the neighborhood listen to it. And it's definitely these kind of activities impacts property value. I'm very concerned because there are photos that I have that show mud tracks coming down the side of the yard, across the driveway, across the sidewalk. The travel way looks like a country road, and nobody's going to want to purchase a house or rent a house next to a property that has a country road next to their driveway. So for these particular situations, I'm thinking that the approval of the ordinance would alleviate the appreciation of property and peace and quality of life to me.
When he moves his regular vehicle onto the street and continues working on his vehicle a couple feet over on the driveway, will that make the noise and pollution go away?
So I'd like to just comment on that actually, because the noise issues are separate. And you guys need to talk to your neighbour about okay. We can keep trying, and that, I mean, nobody's as perfect as this man right here.
This ordinance offers a weapon for neighbors to use against each other.
So the issue we have here is this ordinance that okay, well, that is separate. Okay, so
The thing is, I just want to understand this too. If you got this were to pass,
I'd like to make a friendly amendment to the ballot.
Is that? It's an ordinance, how can?
About as simple as possible, and when you add words to it, it's just going to fog it up.
We won't have to change the ballot. We could add a binding agreement to the ballot.
This is it. If you want to say one more thing, then I'll let you do it, because I open it up to the floor.
If I understand, if we pass this ballot and opt into the ordinance, you will fill out an application to opt the entire neighborhood plan zone into the map. However, the city's website says that we can request all or part of our planning area. So if allowed, I would make a friendly amendment to say that if we pass this, the application should only include the properties of those neighbors who are here tonight who wish to be involved in the front yard parking ban. I honestly feel that we lack the representation among us here tonight to represent all 3,000 of our neighbors and opt them into this restrictive covenant. I also feel it's kind of a homeowners association kind of thing. It does not fit the culture of Dawson neighborhood to impose these covenants upon ourselves or our neighbors.
So the culture of the neighborhood is here.
Second.
We can't do that. How can we split a simple vote up into this complicated arrangement now?
Oh, he just voted.
If you don't want this voted down.
Oh, I will. But as an alternative, I'll second his amendment, so that we're voting between.
But now,
and his version.
Some neighbors feel it's reasonable.
It's not reasonable to start carving of the whole neighborhood when
It's not reasonable to lop it off entirely.
if it's voted up, if it's voted down.
We have 3,000 neighbors. There's about 15 or 20 of us. There's about 8 or 10 of us who can vote for that.
You seem to want to dominate the whole conversation.
I apologize. Go ahead, Pete. I looked at a copy of that application.
I think one of the issues is, if I'm understanding the intent, is to help resolve issues between neighbors. So if, for example, one property by our application is covered, but the adjoining property is not covered, then how do the ordinance actually get?
By the police. It can. Well, they can. I'll explain how. If we choose to opt into this ban, on the application is given a description of the boundaries of our neighborhood, similar to the boundary points of a property deed. Now, in the event that we choose to only have part of our neighborhood plan area opted into this, then it's a series of descriptions of the boundaries, from the corner, along the sides, and the lengths, just like a property deed.
Right, but what are the proposed boundaries? I don't hear what you're proposing in general thing, and I'm not understanding.
I wouldn't propose those boundaries, but the neighbors here who wish to be opted in to this parking ban would state to the officers here so that they know which properties to include in the application. I'm afraid so. I know how that functions, and I understand that. Yes, ma'am?
So I heard when I announced the earlier, I think, for example, I was the only person on El Paso Street. So as the person here, so can I just say, everyone on El Paso Street, and speak for all neighborhoods,
That's what this body proposes to do for the whole neighborhood.
Can I just say a sentence?
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry, you really want to be able to speak when it's your turn, but you also have to be able to listen when it's someone else's turn. Sorry, I'm asking you a question. I don't think you're hearing them because you can't talk.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I guess what I'm asking is, how are we going to put forward the information? So say I wanted to opt in and ask the manager who says you should, or the DNPCT to apply on my behalf because I'm moving forward. How do I put forward the proper boundaries? Because I think if we're all going to vote on it, what we should have is a list to actually vote on, saying we are voting to apply for the following areas to be covered by this ordinance, and these should be excluded. Because that's really the only way I think we could take a vote. Otherwise, we're not voting on something specifically. We can't vote to opt in or opt out, because then no one knows what properties are covered by which areas. So if we're going to have a partial vote, I would like you to make an amendment that lists out those things. Otherwise, I don't see how we can vote in an informed way. So if I'm happy to consider that, but I don't have a list. So if we're going to vote tonight, I don't see how we can properly amend a list to give everyone notice on what they're voting.
The officers of DNPCT, of course, it would be up to them to decide that process.
Okay, could you sit down now, Chuck? They're joining to be members, and so they're voting members, and they vote for the neighbours. And this is about a neighbourhood plan, hence the neighbourhood plan contact team, and we're voting on the basis of that. It's not divided up into pieces. It's about the neighbourhood as a whole. Every other one on that map, I've got hand. Every other one on that map is a neighbourhood plan. So we're voting on the basis of being a neighbourhood, representing the neighbourhood.
Peter, I've got the ordinance and I'm not seeing anything that the only thing I'm seeing is
That is true.
area in the neighborhood plan providing district, which we are not, is added to the restricted parking area map in the first section blah blah blah. County area back into the ordinance. In other words, we're not a combining district, and there's nothing in that ordinance that says we can split our plan area up.
It isn't in the ordinance.
What I want to make is that, like voting for the president or the governor or the city council, the people who show up to vote are the ones that make the decision. That's the way democracy works. If you don't like the outcome, join, get your friends to join, show up at the meeting, and become a voice for the neighborhood. If you don't show up and you don't become a voice and you don't participate, then you won't get what you want. You'll leave it up to the people who do show up and vote. That's the way it works.
I can satisfy your point if I may. The city's website has the ordinance restated in plain English, public-friendly language, and it unambiguously states that planning area contact teams may request all or part of their planning area to be included on the restricted parking area map. It is true, it is not said as such in the ordinance, but it is in the plain English language.
That includes some decision-making prior to the event.
I do think that
The next time we vote on this, be it next year or 3 years or whatever it would be, it is true what you say where it's something we're opting into to vote on. Could there be language around it the next time saying that whatever we vote for this time
fact that you vote for.
There actually is nothing about a 3-year cycle. They're not obliged to bring it up every year. We simply have the opportunity to, if we have requested our neighborhood association to do it. Pete, you just lied. I am out of order, but you just lied. That's also out of order.
Marty hasn't texted you.
If you voted and said that for the next 3 years, we want to say no, the same way that saying yes would be for 3 years, then you just wouldn't bring it to the vote because you would have already said that the next 2 years we don't want you to pull it off. And you then like October or December or in the summer when it's more,
That's reasonable to me.
Okay.
So, the point of that is that people like you don't have to do this every year, but us as just the veterans.
And I'm happy that you are bringing it up because it's the other
to bring it to you.
Yes, absolutely, yes. I'm happy to do that.
And we didn't already do you, there would be Tuesday at Heights.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Are there a few hundred other ordinances we might opt into on an annual basis that you're not bringing to us? Why do you like this one so much?
I cannot answer for the city.
The city's contacting you constantly about these things. This is the one that keeps coming back every year.
What other ones are there, Chad? I don't think you're right about that. What if there are not other things like this that the city gives us an opportunity to vote on? If there are, name one.
Okay, now, I want to move to the agenda.
In this late game, I think everybody here has figured out what their position is.
That's true.
There's an amendment before the board's been seconded. We can vote up or down on the amendment. If we don't want to vote on the amendment, somebody can move to table the amendment. Presumably we'll get a second. We can
Pete's
vote on
not
that.
hearing the amendment.
We can go to the big question. But I would just urge that we maybe move toward getting to the end vote here as quickly as we can.
I'll second that.
Yes, so we just
Well, if the amendment was tabled, it was heard.
All in favor of tabling? So we will be voting on this.
Is this your pen too? Yeah. Oh wait, I might be taking more notes. Ooh, still have 15 minutes to go.
Well, thank everybody for their patience and something that's come from every year so far.
Aren't you going to thank Dr. Murphy for his invitation?
Thank you, Cam.
So, whether it goes up or down, it just will come back to us. And if we do this lady out back to us, and they prepare to back to vote for a longer term, we vote
Yeah, we couldn't hear out right here.
no. I said that, we are actually do, but it's like,
To wait 3 years.
and then it will decide, you vote against it, you vote for it. you don't have that many lanes. But since there's a car, we put up a long street to come and talk to us about it. So I think it would be
We got business done. Well, I don't really have too much to say other than what's in the article, except that I did get information back from the city that they have in fact been tracking the money that's gone into the fee and lieu fund for 2013 and 2014. My concern, having been the one that proposed the infill ordinance that requires sidewalks for a fee back before I left the planning commission, and I don't think the ordinance actually passed until 2008. And I know that I'm not the only pedestrian advocate is that a lot of developers who are putting in like very expensive homes, scraping the old house, putting up a big new house. If there weren't sidewalks already on the street, or there wasn't enough sidewalk fabric on the street, they could get a waiver, which meant that they neither put down a sidewalk nor paid a fee. So I don't know if how many waivers were obtained between 2008 when the infill ordinance requiring sidewalk for a fee was passed, and the amendment that required the fee be paid if you opted out of the sidewalk. And it also, when they amended the sidewalk ordinance, what they said was that if there weren't already 50% of if the block didn't already have 50% of the block having sidewalk, then they would waive it and you could automatically pay a fee, and the director would approve that. In the past it was, you could ask him to, and you may or may not grant it. Now it's sort of like if there's not already part of the sidewalk there, you're going to get a walk and you pay a fee. So when I asked the city staff what the fee was for residential sidewalk, it was $7.50 per square foot for residential, $18 per square foot for multifamily, and $24 something for commercial. But the city cost for putting in a sidewalk, if the developer didn't do it, was about $54 per square foot, which is kind of, So then when I asked about that, I got kind of a vague answer, except that it costs more for the city to put in commercial sidewalks, blah, blah. To me, the real concern on the sidewalk fee in lieu is, at what point did we start collecting money? Did we actually collect money for all the other homes that got constructed before the amendment passed, or did they just get away? It's too late to do anything about it. But I think that we do need to pay attention to what is being built and what's going into the fund to make sure that people do pay into the fund. And then really to ask the hard question of whether or not it actually costs $7.50 a square foot to put in a sidewalk or not. Because if you pay $7.50 a square foot, but it actually costs $20, then it's going to take us a lot longer to get a block of sidewalk. So I'll see what I can do in terms of working with the pedestrian advisory committee and other people, our new council people and stuff, to make sure that 100 feet of fee in lieu is equal to 100 feet of sidewalk. And I feel like the neighborhood supports me in that. If you don't, let me know. But that's kind of an issue of mine. I would like to see sidewalk whatever. At least one side of every street in every neighborhood in town. Okay, so in terms of the priority places there, so that nice chunk of sidewalk that did get built. And then Alpine, from First Street to Alpine Circle. And
All the way to the north, to all the way to the south.
yeah, we're trying to have
West connection.
a connection all the way through here, and also to make the transit stops along First and Congress. And the city is already making ADA improvements along both First and Congress, which was also on our energy plan. But there's a lot of obstacles that are still there. And we still have some, and we added a little chunk along Cumberland between, towards the end of Cumberland here, where you get past the Southwestern Bell building. That sidewalk is really not ADA compatible, and it's hardly walkable, and it kind of ends with a bunch of posts. And on the other side is the funeral home property that has that sidewalk. So there's really not a good, straight ADA corridor down to Cumberland yet. So we added that in 2012 when we talked to the city about our priority sidewalk. I don't know if there's any follow-up in the city on that, on that task sheet. Have y'all got the recent task? Oh, okay. So, and the other final stretch of priority sidewalk is between Alpine and Fort Magruder there, where the Habitat for Humanity is. Because there's a dead-end street that ends in a fence, and that street has been purchased by a property owner, so it's no longer city property, so we really don't have a right-of-way that goes except along the creek around that barrier to complete this corridor. So we sort of don't really have a corridor on that end of the neighborhood. But someday we may have a sidewalk. And I guess then what the question is, when we get enough money to construct the sidewalk, we need to decide, based on other things, like street reconstruction, where we want to go with that. Thank you. You're welcome.
Let's move on to the next item then. That's planning that issue
sticks out into the street. Traffic's.
We're over time now. Okay, so we just have to make the announcement and vote.
Please.
Well, we had 9 full voting for, we had 2 returned.
I second the motion.